So it seems like in 2021, Kanye West and Adidas went off. And I'm not just talking about just the sheer number of sneakers that they released, but I'm also talking about all the brand new silhouettes that they dropped. Now, unfortunately, I don't think all of those silhouettes are winners, but it's really nice to see a brand truly experimenting and trying just crazy things. And so, because this year is finally coming to a close, I wanted to count down the top 10 Yeezy sneakers that dropped in 2021. But before we dive into today's video, I want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor, Kicks. So Kicks is an awesome new company that allows you to try sneakers before you buy them. And actually, I want to show you guys a pair of sneakers that I grabbed from Kicks, and no, it's not a pair of Yeezys, so it doesn't really match with this video, but it's a pair of the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Lows, a shoe that I've been trying to grab for so long. My favorite thing about Kicks World is that if you sign up for a Kicks membership, they allow you to try the sneakers before you buy them, and if you do decide to buy them, they give you a discount on the price. And the fact that I'm able to wear this shoe for a couple weeks before I decide whether I want to keep it or not is really great because it allows me to try it out with different outfits, find out if it's comfortable, and find out if it's worth the money for me. So if you would like to check out Kicks for yourself and maybe try out your dream pair of sneakers before you actually end up buying it, I definitely recommend checking out Kicks by clicking the link in the description below. And actually, another huge thank you to Kicks because they actually provided almost all of the Yeezys that we're using in today's video. So definitely make sure to check out Kicks for yourself, and with all that being said, let's dive right into the top 10 Yeezys of 2021. At number 10, we've got the Adidas Yeezy 500 Ash Gray. So I realize that this isn't a pair of Ash Grays. I couldn't get a pair of Ash Grays in time for this video, but I've got to admit, it looks pretty similar. Now I know what you're thinking, why would I put the Ash Grays on the list of the top 10 best Yeezys of the year if it's such a similar shoe to other pairs of 500s? And therein lies my predicament, because at the end of the day, I think that the Yeezy 500 is one of the best Yeezy silhouettes ever made. And for some reason in 2021, we didn't get that many pairs of Yeezy 500s. In fact, I think we might have only gotten like 3 or 4 different colors, and of the colors that released, in my opinion, the Ash Gray is by far the best. And I get that there's probably people out there who prefer the Inflame colorway because of the multicolor look. In my opinion, the Ash Gray colorway is the most wearable, it's the most interesting, and it's the most Yeezy of all of the 500 colorways to release this year. No, it might not look that different from other Yeezy 500 colorways that have released over the years, but unlike the Utility Blacks, which really just restocked this year, the Ash Gray colorway is technically a brand new colorway for 2021. And because it's the best looking new colorway of the Yeezy 500 to drop this year, I feel like it's worthy of the 10 spot on this top 10 list. Coming in at number 9, we've got the Adidas Yeezy 700 V3 Kyanite. So it's arguable that the 700 V3 is the most futuristic of any Yeezy silhouette. I mean, the shoe literally looks like an alien foot. It's kind of wild. And out of all the 700 V3 colorways to release this year, the 700 Kyanite is probably the best. Now, to be fair, the Kyanite's position on this list is totally opinion-based, and also that I think it's the best of all the 700 V3s to release this year is, again, my opinion. But there's something about the blue and cream colorway on this shoe that really differentiates it from a lot of the other Yeezy releases that happened in 2021. I mean, looking down on my floor right now at all of the upcoming sneakers on this list, a majority of them are tan or like an off-white color. And okay, yeah, this shoe is sort of a tan off-white pair of 700 V3s, but at the same time, this blue hit that runs alongside of the sneaker really makes it pop. And while the Yeezy 700 V3 might not be the most comfortable Yeezy silhouette or even the best looking Yeezy silhouette, out of all the 700 V3s, I think the Kyanite is probably my favorite. But that doesn't change the fact that I wish they hadn't removed the boost on this shoe. While this shoe is not uncomfortable underfoot, the EVA foam that they use just isn't anywhere close to as soft as Boost. Oh, and actually, before I forget, one other plus of just the 700 V3 in general is the price point. Compared to other pairs of 700s, this shoe retails for just $200 versus the $300 or $250 of the standard 700s. So all in all, not a bad shoe and definitely worthy, in my opinion, of the number 9 spot. Next up at number 8, we've got the Adidas Yeezy 350 V2 Mono Ice. So over the last couple years, I've been known to be a little bit harsh in my Yeezy 350 reviews, and that's because for the last couple years, in fact, the last like 4 or 5 years, the Yeezy 350 hasn't changed that much. But in 2021, Kanye West and Adidas decided to completely retool the upper of the 350 V2, changing the material on the upper of this shoe from the prime knit that we all know and love to a much more interesting semi-translucent plastic. And not only that, but they also completely changed the substructure of this shoe, which now, because the upper of this shoe is semi-translucent plastic, you can actually see. So in 2021, I feel like the hype for the 350 V2s had died down a little bit, and so I guess as a way to combat that, Adidas and Yeezy decided to release something completely different. And while personally I think the shoe looks incredible and I absolutely love this brand new sort of organic looking substructure, I think the shoe overall was met with mixed reactions. The upper of this shoe is definitely wild, and I think that turns some people off, but the fact that Adidas and Kanye decided to experiment with one of their most popular silhouettes and try something that is so different and seemingly so polarizing is really exciting to me. It just shows that for Kanye West and the Adidas team, no design is too sacred. Even if it's their best-selling model, they're willing to try something different and experiment and really make something that maybe not everyone will like, but it'll push their design language forward. And I realize that this isn't something that you'll really get to see when you're wearing the shoe, but my favorite part about this sneaker is the way the light actually comes through the semi-translucent upper. It gives it sort of this cool glow that almost makes it look like you're looking into maybe the inside of like some alien hive. I know it's weird, I know it's out there, but it's cool to me. I really like it. And out of the 4 colorways that dropped, even though I think the Mono Cinder colorway is probably the most popular because it's an all black Yeezy and all black Yeezys always do really well, the Mono Ice colorway is the most interesting because it's the most different. I mean, it's crazy, and that's what I love about it. Coming in at number 7 is the Adidas Yeezy 450 Cloud White. Speaking of wild and out there Yeezys, the 450s is definitely one of the wildest and most out there pairs of Yeezys I've ever seen. So the Yeezy 450 had been leaked for years. In fact, I think the first time we saw this shoe might have been back in as early as 2018. This shoe is a completely different direction for Yeezy. Rather than going with a boost midsole or a midsole that's already been used in other sneakers like the 500, the 450 utilizes brand new tooling and creates a midsole slash midfoot cage slash outsole that we've never seen anything like on any sneaker before it. I mean, talk about alien looking. The 450s look like an alien Venus flytrap that's just eating your foot. It's crazy. But personally, I love the design of this shoe. This shoe is so wild and so out there and so different that it really catches people's attention. Now, admittedly, this shoe isn't the most comfortable pair of Yeezys in the world. The sizing is very much off. You have to grab at least a half size or a full size up. It's a very narrow shoe. Plus, this midfoot cage just kind of grips your foot in almost this death grip, which some people may like, some people may not like. And honestly, the foam that they used underfoot isn't the softest. It's not uncomfortable, but it's nothing like Boost. But this is one of those shoes that shines purely based on aesthetics. This is one of those shoes that is going to catch your attention whether you like it or not, and you can't stop looking at it. Also, on a side note, this shoe gets dirty in like the weirdest places. Dirt seems to collect in like these U-shaped cavities. It's a weird thing to happen, and it's kind of difficult to clean, but I guess that kind of comes with the territory. When you grab a shoe that looks as weird as this, you're gonna get weird cleaning issues that you don't get on regular sneakers. So while this shoe design-wise might not be for everyone, I feel like it deserves a spot on this list because of how groundbreaking the design of this sneaker actually is. I mean, even just from a manufacturing standpoint, like how would you even manufacture this shoe? How would the mold work on this sneaker? It's crazy. And number 6 is the Adidas Yeezy 700 Wash Orange. So unfortunately, this is the only other shoe on the list that I don't have a pair of, but I do have a pair of the original Wave Runners, which to be honest is my favorite Yeezy of all time. Well, okay, I guess the Zen Yeezy ones from Nike are my favorite Yeezys of all time, but this is my favorite Adidas Yeezy of all time. So whenever Kanye decides to drop another pair of 700 V1s, I am always down. And out of all of the brand new 700 V1 colorways that have dropped this year, in my opinion, the Wash Orange is the best. And you know what? Maybe that's just because the upper of this shoe is very similar to the upper of the Wave Runners, except a little bit darker, or maybe that's just because I like orange and the entire bottom of the shoe is orange. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I think the Yeezy 700 Wash Orange is the best 700 V1 to drop this year. I guess I don't really have much else to say about this shoe other than the fact that I think it looks good. I don't know, there's just something about a nice gray upper on a pair of 700 V1s and a nice hint of orange on the midsole that just always does it for me, and that's why I put the 700 Wash Oranges as number 6 on my list. Oh, also, before I forget, the 700 V1 is one of the most comfortable pairs of Yeezys I've ever worn. It features a Boost midsole, which feels great underfoot. The entire upper is very well padded. It's not the most breathable, but it's a very soft upper nonetheless. And the 700 V1 is just one of those shoes that you can rock every day, all day, and it never feels uncomfortable. Following that up at number 5, we've got the Adidas Yeezy 350 V2 Lite. So at first glance, this shoe might just look like an off-white colored pair of 350 V2s, but when you actually wear this shoe and take it outside, you'll start to notice that the entire side stripe of the shoe actually changes color. And that's because the plastic that they used in the side stripe of this shoe is actually UV sensitive, so when you take it out in the sunlight, it changes from this sort of clear white color to an orange. And you know what? It might just be a gimmick, but in my opinion, it's a really cool gimmick, and that's why I put this shoe on the list. I guess it's not just the color changing, but it's also the fact that we don't get a lot of all-white 350s. And I think in the same way all-black 350s are the most popular pairs of 350s because they're all black, I think the all-white 350s are like the second most popular pairs because it's such an easy colorway to rock. And when you pair a super clean and easy to rock colorway with a really cool gimmick on the side of the shoe, it's a winner. Oh, and actually the side stripe is not the only thing on the shoe that changes color when you take it outside. In fact, there's also these very small UV sensitive threads that are woven through the primeknit that change from a white to a pink. So all all around, I think that the 350 V2 Lite is one of the most interesting, but also one of the most wearable pairs of 350s we've ever seen, and is one of my favorite 350 V2s of the entire year. Next up at number 4 is the Yeezy Foam Runner Ochre. So if you've watched my channel for really any period of time, you know that the Foam Runner is one of my favorite shoes that I've worn in the last like 2 or 3 years. And that's because the Foam Runner is one of the most insane looking shoes I've ever worn, it's one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn, and it's one of the most futuristic shoes I've ever worn. And so for me, whenever a new pair of Foam Runners comes out, I have to go and try and grab it. In fact, I just paid resale for the Yeezy Foam Runner Sand Grays because I missed out on the retail release and I just really wanted a pair. But the reason I put the Ochres on the list is because if you had to grab just one pair of Foam Runners for the entire year, I think the Ochre colorway is the most versatile. Sure, personally, I love the way that the Sand Gray looks and I love the little hits of pink in the shoe, but this is not a shoe you can get away with everyday clothing. Actually, I guess to be fair, neither is the Ochres, but that's just the nature of the design of the shoe. This dark tan, or I guess light brown color of the Ochres is one of those colors that you can wear with pretty much anything, and it will either match or just be an accent color that's pretty easy to wear with pretty much any other color. Something that's kind of interesting about the Ochres is that when images of this shoe first came out, people thought this shoe was going to be bright yellow because the marketing images were showing this shoe as a yellow sneaker. And thank God that wasn't the case, because while a mustard color pair of Yeezys would be interesting and I think people would still like it, there's just something a lot more wearable about this sort of light brown color. As far as comfort, the Foam Runners are incredibly soft underfoot. It almost feels like you're wearing Boost. Something else that's kind of crazy about this shoe is how durable they are. For some reason, the EVA foam that they use in this shoe just doesn't seem to wear down, which is awesome. And also, in sort of an obvious observation, this shoe is incredibly breathable. And while it's pretty difficult to get a pair of Foam Runners for retail, the retail price of this shoe is pretty incredible at just 80 bucks. In my opinion, if you can get a pair of Foam Runners for retail, grab them and wear the hell out of them, because it's one of those shoes that you don't realize how much you'll like it until you're actually wearing it. At number 3 is the Adidas Yeezy Slide in the pure colorway. I guess I could have picked really any colorway of the Yeezy Slide that released this year, and there was a lot of great colorways that dropped. But for me, the pure colorway is just my favorite. This pure colorway comes in this really interesting sort of like sand slash flesh tone color that's not really something you see a lot of when it comes to slides or really any other kind of footwear except for Yeezy footwear. I mean, really, the pures are kind of one of those classic Yeezy colorways. In fact, I think on StockX, this is the best selling colorway of the Yeezy Slide. Also, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the comment section of this video typing right now, that's not a sneaker, that's a slide. You can't put that on this top 10 sneaker list. I mean, I did it with the foams and they're not really a sneaker. And this is one of the best selling Yeezys of the entire year. And I mean both in retail stores, but also on the aftermarket. I mean, this shoe resells like crazy. For some reason, people just can't get enough of the Yeezy Slides. And while I don't totally understand it personally, I do like the way this sneaker looks. It's different, it's modern, it's really interesting looking. And I know this is kind of nerdy, but personally, I'm really interested in the manufacturing process of this shoe, because this shoe is just one piece of material. This mold was probably pretty complex because I'm sure there was a lot of like draft undercuts and you had to have a separate action to come out of the footbed of the shoe. It's just such an interesting shoe from a design point of view. Actually, the same could be said for the Foam Runner. In fact, that shoe is even more intricate than this shoe. Man, I'd love to take like a walkthrough of the Yeezy factories to see how they do it. That would be crazy. So even though the Yeezy Slide is one of the simplest Yeezys ever made, it's by far one of the most popular, and it's one of the most interesting as well. Coming in at number 2 is the Adidas Yeezy 350 V2 Compact. So I recently reviewed this shoe and then wore it around for a week and essentially did another review of this shoe. And after wearing the shoe for almost a month at this point, I've got to say that this is one of my favorite Yeezys to ever be released. No, I don't love the looks of this shoe. In fact, I actually think this is one of the uglier pairs of 350s ever made. But honestly, this is probably the most comfortable pair of Yeezys I've ever worn. And the reason I say that is not just because of the full-length Boost midsole, which makes this shoe incredibly comfortable underfoot, but it's also and primarily because of this brand new 3D knit upper. So the 350 V2 Compact, like the 350 V2 Monos, is an entirely new upper on the 350 V2 midsole and outsole. And what I love about this new knit is how soft and stretchy it is. It really makes the entire upper of this shoe feel a lot more sock-like and a lot more comfortable over time. When you're wearing the shoe all day, you're not going to feel uncomfortable. When you're wearing a standard pair of 350 V2s, your toes can feel a little bit crunched after a couple hours. Oh, and you can't forget the incredible amount of padding on top of your foot. While some people might not like that because it might feel like your foot is kind of encased in like a soft cushion, I personally love it for that exact reason. Plus, it's wintertime in the United States and I need a shoe that's very comfortable but also very warm. And because this shoe features a very soft fabric lining underneath the knit, you get a very comfortable material against your foot, and you also get some really great insulation, which makes this shoe a really warm sneaker and also somehow still breathable when it needs to be. It doesn't really make sense to me. I guess just knits in general are breathable materials, but it just feels amazing on foot. And while no, I don't love the way this sneaker looks, I think that's both because of the knit pattern, which I think is a little bit too crazy, and and also the colorway that they chose to go with on this slate blue color. I don't like how it's like blue and black on the upper and then brown on the midsole. I feel like it just doesn't really match. It's one of those shoes that the comfort of this shoe is so good, I don't care what it looks like. It just feels so good to wear. And again, this is just another example of Adidas and Kanye West trying something completely different, trying something new on one of their most popular silhouettes, and consequently creating, in my opinion, their most comfortable sneaker ever. And then finally, coming in at number 1 is the Adidas Yeezy 350 V2 Beluga Reflective. So I know I've been saying throughout this video that I love the fact that Kanye and Adidas are trying new things and experimenting and releasing a bunch of new silhouettes, but there's something to be said about re-releasing a crowd favorite and re-releasing a shoe that is one of the most iconic Yeezy sneakers of all time. We're getting a shoe which is very similar to the initial release, albeit with some reflective details, which, to be fair, you can't really see that easily, and they're releasing it in much larger quantities so that a lot more people have the opportunity to actually wear this shoe. Speaking of the reflective details, in addition to differentiating this shoe from the initial release, what I love about these reflective hits is that they add just a little bit more interest to the shoe. I mean, when you hit this shoe with the flash, you get these really great pops of reflective accents, and it really makes the shoe that much more interesting. Plus, people just love reflective details, so the fact that they're adding that to one of their most popular colorways is really awesome. The Beluga Reflective is a crowd pleaser, and it just goes to show that Kanye West is listening to his fans, and I love that. But with that, we pretty much wrap up the entire top 10 list for today. Now, I would love to know your thoughts on this list and whether you feel like I missed some shoes or whether you feel like some shoes were out of order on the list, so make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.